Okay, let's begin with our first Classworks training. Today we are going to only learn how to assign instruction for our students to work on independently or within stations. Before we get started, let's just go back to some things that I sent in an email prior to today's training. You should already have your students' Classworks usernames and passwords that were forwarded via email. You should already have your login information, which is your ST number, and your password that Miss Hooks emailed you prior to the training. And then also there was the link that I emailed to you as well so that you could go ahead and create those shortcuts on your desktops or your Chromebooks or wherever your students will be accessing Classworks. So before beginning assigning instruction, you should have all of these things in place prepared for the students. So I'm going to start with my login, which is my ST number, and my password. So once you log into Classwork, your platform is going to look a lot different from mine, only because I have access to all classrooms and you only have access to your classes. However, when you log in, you should still have a dashboard, and then you should still be able to see your classes under your classes tab. Along the top here, you see your tabs for dashboard, your individualized learning, your progress monitoring, your classes, instruction, and assessment. However, I'm not quite sure if you have all of those tabs on your platform as I do. So the first thing we're going to learn to do is just assign students instruction. So this means that, after you have or along with teaching a certain standard or a certain lesson, you may want your students to work with extra practice or extra instruction on this particular standard. And to do so, you will need to assign them instruction first. So there are several different ways to assign instruction. But the first way is to click on your instruction tab, and then you're going to go to create new because you have not created any new instruction. Once you create your instruction, of course, if you are the math teacher, you're going to create the math, and if you are a reading or ELA teacher, you'll create the ELA. However, K1 and 2, they are the language arts and the mathematics teacher, so they will create both. So to begin with, let's start with a language arts assignment of instruction. If you'll notice here in this drop down box in the left hand corner, I have access to all of the grade levels. I'm not sure if you do or not. However, you should have your respective grade level. So I am just going to choose grade 2. And of course, I'm assigning ELA standards. So within my reading this week, let's just say that we are working within a literature strand, because if you notice here, you have all of your strands for your reading content standards. You have literature, informational, and you have foundational skills. So let's just say that you are working within the literature strand. So I'm going to click the literature strand. And if you'll notice, within the literature, there are key ideas, details, craft and structure, and then integration of knowledge. So to begin with, I want to assign key ideas and details. So let's just say my students have been working on asking and answering questions. So there's that standard there for asking and answering questions. So if my students have been working on that and I would like for them to practice, I'm going to click that arrow. Let me go back. Click the arrow, and here for 2.1, it's asking and reading literature that they infer the main idea and supporting details. So I'm going to click that. And here are the particular skills where you have drawing conclusions, paragraph structure, learning about paragraphs. And if you scroll here, this gives you all the options that are included, all of the skills that are included up under this reading literature standard. So you may not have worked with each of these skills under this particular standard. You may have only worked with learning about paragraphs or reading strategy. So you would select the one that is aligned to the instruction or the standard that you have focused on for this week, or it could have been a week or two prior and you just want to assess where they are in what they remember. So I'll just choose learning about reading strategy. So I'm going to click add. And as you notice, when I add, that added it to that right hand column over here. And if for some reason I made a mistake and clicked that one, I'm going to click the trash can and it will delete it. So I'm going to add it again. And let's just say that we also worked on using reading strategy. So I'm going to click add again because there's something else that I want my students to have additional practice on. And as I look back through, I think that may be enough. So I'm going to go down to the bottom and click the next. And let's say that I want to title this instruction assignment as Module 1. I'll click Create. Now, if you'll notice here in your instruction, the module that, the assignment or the instruction that you created should be there with details of that particular assignment. See here, it says that I have 8 language arts assignments that I have created for that particular lesson and on the date that I created it for. So now I need to go back and assign this to my actual classroom. So I'm going to go back up to my class. And this is the language arts. So let me find a second grade teacher. Danford reading. So I'm going to pretend that this is my class. I'm going to click my name. And I'm going to click assign instruction. And here are my 3 tabs here that I choose from. My created instruction, classroom instruction, or shared instruction. If you notice, my created instruction is highlighted, and under that you will see the module or the assignment of instruction that you created in your Create New tab. So I'm going to check that box. I want to go back and show you though. Classroom instruction. These are some other options here that we will look at another training module, and then you have shared instruction. But for now, we are only working with the instruction that you created according to how you want to align your instruction based on what you have previously taught or what you are currently teaching. So you're going to click this module. I'm going to click next, and of course I want to assign it to all of my students because all of my students are receiving or have received this instruction. In the event that you just wanted it for certain students, you would click the selected students tab and then you would check which students you wanted it for. But of course now we want it for all of our students. And click assign. So we'll give it a moment to load. Now you can see in my class assignments, I'm going to click this add button here. All of the students in my classroom, my language arts classroom, have been assigned module 1, and that's the the instruction that I created according to the standards that I taught. If you'll notice here in module 1, there are a total of 8 activities for that module, as we saw earlier. None of the students have had time on task, so the times here read 0, of course, and my expected mastery level is 70%. The date assigned, which is here. Now, if for some reason, you have assigned these assignments to all of your students, and for some reason you say, you know what, they're just not ready to complete that assignment yet, you can go in and click skipped, and the database will not show this particular assignment when this particular student logs in. but I'm going to go back and change it to assigned. Then also you can click on the Customize tab. And once you click on the Customize tab, it's going to show you exactly what you have assigned that particular student. It's going to show the mini lesson that you are able to click on. It will show the strategies in which you can click on each of those. And then also here at the end, you have the quiz. So these are the different lessons and activities that the student will have to work through as their instruction. And at the conclusion of that instruction, they are assigned a quiz. You have the option of skipping these for the student. However, I would not skip them in the beginning unless you just wanted to postpone them being able to work on the assignment. So these are the two that you created in your My Create instruction section. So I'm going to minimize those again. And I forgot to mention that once the students complete each of the lessons or each of the activities, it's going to give them a percent of what's completed. It's going to give them a total time on task and the date completed. Once the students have completed these and you feel like that particular students didn't spend enough time on it, you can, although they have completed, you can go back in and reassign. So I'm going to close this tab. Okay, I'm going to minimize all of my students. Now, I'm deleting this only because this is not my actual class. So if I accidentally create a module that I don't need, or created the wrong one or assigned the wrong one, you can easily delete it. So I'm going to click the box, delete. I'm going to go down here to the bottom left, click delete, and then I need to be sure to save my deletions. Okay, so now you have learned how to create one part of instruction within your Classworks computerized database. Our next Classworks module will be on using Classworks for instruction in applied mathematics and integrated reading. So I hope this has been beneficial to you, and I am signing off, and we will resume at the next Classworks training. Thank you.